Hello to anyone watching, hopefully just my sister's watching. Um, I've decided to do a short mini series on yoga for beginning people. I'm not certified in yoga, so take whatever I say with a grain of salt. But however, I've been practicing yoga for a while now, and I feel like it's so great for people to learn, and especially if they don't have time to do regular exercise, or if they're just interested in strengthening their body in a little bit of a lighter format, but also stretching their body. I feel like yoga is really great for that. Also, yoga is really great for reducing stress. So here I have a yoga mat, and I hope that I'll be able to capture all of my sequences on this with like my full body, because a lot of the arm movements that I do also help to stretch certain little muscles in the forearms and upper, like your pectoralis, etc. So I'm going to start with a little warm-up sequence that I do whenever I don't really feel like moving. So like the very first thing I do before I get into any of these deeper stretches, and that's a simple hip warm-up. So I start with this simple warming up the like hamstrings and the feet a little bit. For those of you who have done yoga before, you know that your feet positioning is very, very vital, as well as for what you're doing, but also so that you don't fall out of balance. So if your feet and ankles aren't warmed up, you're going to have a harder time balancing. So we're just going to kind of go through our feet a little bit. If you are a ballet dancer, you know how to point and roll through your foot properly. If you don't dance, it's still okay to do this. It's just a really easy warm-up. You're just flexing and pointing your feet like this. And then if you're starting to feel tired from doing this, you can start opening up to bigger circles with the toes. They can be, if you want to synchronize them or do them any which way direction. Once again, it's just to warm up your ankles a little bit. All right, and then I just do like a very gracious hamstring stretch. So all I'm doing is lengthening up and through my back. As you notice, I'm not stretching forward. All I'm doing is just putting my hands down, maintaining a really straight spine, and flexing through my heels. So if that means all you can do is sit up straight and you feel the stretch, that's perfectly fine. But if you want to continue to go a little bit further, don't push it, but you can allow your body to be in like a little less than a 45-degree angle. Really push through the heels there. And then point. And then flex. And then point. And flex. And point. And flex. And point. Shake that out. That's just a very basic starting warm-up. Now we're going to start warming up the hips, the back, and the core by doing bridges. Now bridges for me have always been very difficult. They tell you to keep your heels closer to your buttocks. However, if you are feeling a lot of tightness in your quads, it's going to be very difficult for you. Also, if you have lower back pain and very weak lower abs, this is also going to be very difficult for you. So what I suggest is find a position that you can comfortably lift your pelvis off the floor. And if it doesn't go all the way up, that's totally fine. I'm trying to find a place where you guys can fully see me. So I'm going to let my head be very straightforward. If you have a ponytail, I suggest removing it. You're going to place your palms on the floor. Do use your palms. You want to push off of them. Dig your heels into the ground and keep your toes flat. And you're just going to lift and lower. And lift and lower. It is also important to keep your knees and toes aligned. This does not mean you have to keep your knees and ankles anchored together. You can have a separation I like to say at least the width of my palm, just a little bit more than that, and that's what I do for my parallel position. And lift and lower. And I do this at least 10 times. You can do more than that if you'd like. I'm on 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In another series, I can do more of those types of exercises, but for right now, I'm gonna go straight into another exercise. So from there, I like to sit and stretch my quads again. My quads typically are my tightest area of my leg. My hamstrings are very loose, so I like to strengthen my hamstrings by doing that hip lifting up. It's called a half bridge exercise. And then I like to open up my quads even more before we get into the lunges within yoga. I really like to just sit like this for a while. This opens up my quads nicely. From here, I'm gonna rock back on my toes. This is a nice toe opening exercise, so I'm gonna rock back. I'm gonna sit on my toes like this. And we're already at 6 minutes in. 6 minutes and 30 seconds. And then I'm gonna stand up. This next exercise is just a sun salutation. Why I like sun salutations is they're really easy to follow. You have your basic pose, which is the mountain pose, where your feet are in parallel, your hips are even, your shoulders are upright, and you're standing with tension in your core. And you're going to start by taking a deep breath and lifting up with your arms. And I go to a third because I'm a ballet dancer and it's just natural. If you like to lengthen all the way through, you can do that as well. Some people even do like the praying pose, so you can do whatever feels most natural. And then it's a swan dive. With the swan dive, you're going to fold forward like this. Now let's say your swan dive leads you to right here. This is totally acceptable. This is still stretching, and the more you do this, the more deep into your swan dive you'll go. And then you're gonna plie from here with your head down, and you're gonna straighten again. So do that with me. Up, swan dive, and we'll do a plie, and we'll straighten. Now, whenever I get here, I like to place my hands on the floor. If you can't reach the floor, your knees are a great place to do that. From here, you can step back and put your hands on the floor into this nice long lunge. And you can readjust as much as needed to do that. I just put my hand underneath here. Once again, I'm not yoga certified. I don't know if that's actually what you're supposed to be doing, but I do that. I place my hands on my knees like this to get that deeper stretch. We're gonna get more into this, so if you're not comfortable to do that right now, that's totally fine. You can keep your hands here. We're gonna push the left leg back into a plank, just to warm up the core a little bit more. From here, I'm going to push down into a baby cobra. So I move my hands forward and I just barely lift up. This is mainly a stretch for your upper back. You can move your neck as needed. From here, we're going to push into a baby pose, child's pose. From here, I go up to down dog. And then I'm gonna step my feet to my hands and roll up through my spine. I'm gonna repeat that one more time to the other side. So reaching up, swan dive forward. I'm gonna plie, bend my knees, and straighten. Once again, if you can't get that full deep stretch, that's okay. Hands on knees. I'm gonna switch and reverse my legs. So now I'm gonna put the left leg back and scoot my right leg forward. Once again, if you're ready, you can place your arms on your knee. If you're not ready, don't do it. Just continue. It's good to move in this pose so you can kind of pulse your heel back and forth. You don't want to go too deep for the first time. Then that plank again, warming up our core. We're not going to hold it for too long. Let me see, about 15 seconds. And now you're going to press down and up. Ooh, let's do a baby one right now. If you have more flexibility, that's okay. But remember, this is not just about achieving flexibility. It's also about, where is your flexibility? So like this stretch is also stretching your core. So like if your core is tight but your back's flexible, this is a good way to keep your elbows down, but you're pushing through your core to stretch it out. And then push back to child's pose again. In child's pose, I like to think about anchoring my tailbone to my heels. And your bottom kind of sits in between your feet. And as I push up to down dog, I'm going to roll through my feet. So I flip my toes underneath me, and then I flip. Once again, I'm stepping my foot to my hands, and then I'm going to roll up through the spine. And then I repeat this several times. Each time I like to differ what I'm doing, but for the sake of this film, I'm gonna try to remain with this consistent little warm-up. I believe traditionally in yoga, they do not do a full plank hold, but I always put a full plank hold. That way, I just get that in my system. I'm going to talk a little bit more. Whenever the goal with sun salutations is to keep building, so you can either do it quick to build stamina, and we're going to transfer into down dog right now. Or you can develop different poses within a sun salutation. So we have our warrior 1. I'm going to step to my hands and roll up. Warrior 2, warrior 3, all that good stuff. But you can also just repeat the very basics to get a full understanding of what those poses entail, and to get a really nice workout going. Whenever you're holding this lunge, you're strengthening your legs, your core. It's very good for you. If you want to test your balance, you can do that. Obviously, I'm not very balanced today. Once again, we're going to push back to a plank. Now, typically for me, I only do child's pose twice, one with like transferring with each side. And then the other times I just go straight into down dog. So you can either repeat this with the child's pose, or you can go from this position and you can just push up from a plank to a down dog. There's lots more that we can keep practicing, but for the sake of this video, that's all I'm gonna post. I hope you all enjoyed.